The unique status of Vestal virgins in Roman society. This is by the University of Edinburgh on their retrospect journal. I'll leave a link below for you on this. Written by Fiona McRae. Dating back to the days before the Republic, the Vestal virgins held one of the oldest positions in Rome. They were 6 women, all sworn to virginity, who tended to the flame, the Temple of Vesta, to ensure it would never be extinguished. The rules and rituals they had to follow set them apart insofar as being exempt from certain laws and obligations that bound the rest of Roman society. In order to become a Vestal, the girl was required to meet several criteria. She had to be between 6 and 10 years old when she was selected, and freeborn with both parents still alive. Her father in turn had to be in patria potestas, legally able to inherit from his father. This meant that her paternal grandfather had to be alive too. However, upon becoming a Vestal, the girl would leave her father's protection and live in the atrium vestae, the quarters of the Vestal virgins, and gain the legal right to make her own will. Usually a woman would not exit patria potestas unless she married or was emancipated, and in this way the status of a Vestal was unique since she was not under the legal care of a man. Legal autonomy was the first of several unusual rights afforded to the Vestals that other women did not have. As a priestess, a Vestal was accompanied by a lictor, a magistrate attending bearing the fasces, a long bundle of rods with a single bronze axe head that symbolized power and authority. This symbol was permitted to be used by magistrates with a number proportional to his rank. The Vestals were the only women allowed to its use. Furthermore, Vestals were permitted to sit in the senatorial ranks at games and receive a yearly stipend for their duties, a very unusual privilege for women. Thus, the Vestals' rights and powers crossed into the male sphere. The lines of distinction were also blurred when it came to the status of women. As I have previously discussed, a woman was expected to be either a daughter or a wife, but a Vestal was legally neither. In fact, in many ways, her manner of dress indicated that she was somewhere in between. The Vestals wore a distinctive hairstyle called the sexcrines, which symbolized chastity, very suitable for her sworn virginity. This hairstyle was also traditionally worn by a Roman bride on her wedding day. In contrast, the gowns worn by the Vestals are thought to be stoles, the dress of married women. The markers of both bride and wife seem counterintuitive, given that virginity is central to the role of Vestal. The hairstyle, however, as previously mentioned, symbolizes chastity, and the stola indicates respectability. Perhaps the most renowned difference between a Vestal and other Roman citizens was the punishment for the loss of her virginity. If portents from the gods showed that a Vestal was unchaste, she would be sentenced to death. Plutarch vividly describes the procession and execution in Numa 10. The offending Vestal is transported, heavily veiled, in a litter to a bank near the Colline Gate within the city of Rome, and here she descends into a dugout chamber as the priests turn away. The chamber is covered over and she's left there to die. Throughout the process, Plutarch describes a deathly silence and utilizes themes of hiding. The Vestal is closely veiled as she is escorted into the litter, so she is hard to see. The litter itself is then covered over and the covers tied down so that not even a cry could be heard from within. Plutarch also describes the silence of the crowd twice in one sentence, painting a haunting picture for the reader. The final act of the execution was for the Vestal to walk down into her grave. For this moment, the priest would turn their backs after a last prayer was read so that they did not witness the descent. The whole ceremony was run with undertones of pretense and concealment, like they could pretend they were not killing her at all. Staples in 1998 calls this the fiction of not killing. The lack of witnesses for the Vestal's final descent allowed for the idea that she walked into her grave willingly or simply vanished from the spot. She was also left with a small amount of food and water, enough for a day. This takes the onus away from those who condemned her, as they have given her something to live on. The final element of the illusion was the location of her burial. Executed Vestals were buried inside the walls of Rome, in the bank near the Colline Gate. The dead were not permitted to be buried within the walls of Rome, making a paradox. The Vestal was like Schrodinger's cat, simultaneously alive and dead upon her burial. Burial within the walls of Rome was unique to the Vestals who had been unchaste. Therefore, all who were buried there were alive in the time of burial and provisioned with some means of sustaining life for a short period, thereby circumnavigating the rule against burying the dead there. And thus, the unique position of Vestal virgins in Roman society was not only defined by their additional rights and elevated rank, but also by the looming prospect of a fatal punishment not given to any other member of Roman society. And I'll leave a link below for you for this, from Edinburgh University History, Classics and Archaeological Magazine Retrospect Journal, written by Fiona McRae. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.